Wrestle Magic Pod, official sponsors of British Empire Wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are in post-WrestleMania season. Now, we decided that Wrestle Magic this year was not going to go straight in and just beat everybody up with what is the good and the bad of WrestleMania this year. Instead, we're going to take it by decades, basically, and kind of work into the fabric of what a WrestleMania moment is, what a good match is, and what a bad match is, and what was the highlights and lowlights of WrestleManias. Now, I can't do this alone. Guys, you know I love Wrestle Magic, and we started this podcast many years ago, 5 years ago. It's bloomed into something great, and the interviews and everything we have, it's amazing. But I cannot do this alone, so I have to have my co-host, Sean. And we're going to go WrestleMania by WrestleMania, and this is going to be a part one. We're going to go 1 through 21, talking about the best and the worst, and if there was really a WrestleMania moment. Now, Mr. Sean Bush, my good friend, my co-host, and the guy that always beats me in trivia, I can never let that go. I want to know today, are you ready to do this?
I am. As Nixon would have said, I'm tanned, rested, and ready.
Dear Lord.
I've got my Yoo-hoo. We're ready to go. Sponsorship, maybe?
I like that. Okay. Will you read me the card after you take a sip? And by the way, who's that in your lap right there?
We all know who this is. Mr. Moose is ready to go,
Mr.
too.
Moose, yes.
Even though he's probably going to...
Moose.
He's probably going to be talkative. All right. Well, I mean, WrestleMania 1 coming to you live in 1985 from Madison Square Garden, the greatest arena in the world, and the greatest wrestling event of all time, as the tagline there. We're going to go down the card. We're going to just go right through the card and then kind of give a general, or do you want me to give a little space in between?
Go ahead. Just go ahead and read down the card.
Well, it's funny, I look at the most recent WrestleMania we just had, and there was a lot of talk about the length of some of these matches, but it's interesting when you look at WrestleMania 1 here, and I suspect some of the older ones anyway. But starting off with Tito Santana and the Executioner in a singles match that went 4 minutes, 49 seconds. How's that for a quick one? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
King Kong Bundy and Special Delivery Jones in a 9-second match. Second up. I know we're starting already.
Held the record for many years, but keep going, please.
After that, Ricky Steamboat and the future Doink the Clown, Matt Bourne. That went 4 minutes, 39 seconds. Fourth match on the card. These are all singles matches, by the way, just so starting it off basic and down to earth. Fourth match, Brutus the Barber Beefcake with Johnny Valiant going against David, son of Bruno Sammartino in in a singles match. I almost read the ending there for a second. That went 11 minutes, 43 seconds, so we got a little bit of time on that one.
Oh.
You're ready for that, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Keep going, please.
All right. Next up, Junkyard Dog and Greg the Hammer Valentine for the IC Championship that went 6 minutes, 55 seconds. Greg Valentine coming out with the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart there. Afterwards, the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov with Classy Freddie Blassie going against the U.S. Express, Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda for the WWF Tag Team Championship that went 6 minutes 55. Andre the Giant battling Big John Studd coming out as a part of Bobby Heenan's family. The career versus a $15,000 body slam challenge that went 5 minutes 53 seconds. All right, getting the last two matches, the famous, or what's become more famous, I guess, in recent years, women's championship match. Wendy Richter with the pop sensation at the time, Cyndi Lauper, going against Leilani Kai, the champion, and the fabulous Moolah in her corner. And then, of course, the main event, the poster that we all know with the great Hogan just gesturing over towards Mr. T there, Mr. T and Hogan with Superfly Jimmy Snuka going against Paul, Mr. Wonderful Orndorff, and Roddy Piper with Bob Orton, Cowboy Bob Orton backing him up. Him and I'm guessing if I remember, did he still have his broken arm at the time?
I don't think that ever heals. I think he still has a broken
damnedest
arm.
thing, right?
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
That went 13 minutes, 34 seconds, so pretty long by Hogan standards, but he was, 1985.
So this is where I'm going to go. Oh, who's that?
Somebody else is coming in.
Yes. So here's where we're going to go with this one, guys. Beefcake and San Martino is brutal to watch. Now, probably your best 6-minute match is going to be the Executioner versus Tito. The Executioner was actually Playboy Buddy Rose, and that's because Vince was trying so hard to bully his way into Don Owens' territory to try to take over Portland, but Don Owens really wouldn't sell, and then he kept reinventing it as PNW, like Pacific Northwest, and really just going further and further with it way into the 90s. And there were some hangers on, but that's why Matt Bourne was there and other people. But I'd have to say your best match has to be Tito versus the Executioner. I think that your main event went 13 minutes longer than it should have been. Obviously, it was let's do everything because we're on the A-Team now, and Hulk Hogan's on the A-Team show, and it's going to be like such a big thing. It's going to be such a big crossover. The pageantry alone on this was way over the top. And if you look back and you see how many people starred in the pageantry, your Liberace's, Rockettes, everything, it just killed the show. Your average match.
You didn't like Liberace doing the can with the Rockettes?
What's his face tell you? No, absolutely not. And today's wrestling fan, people wanted to see brutal matches and see the biggest spectacle of all time. Instead, they're seeing Liberace. And when we were young, my brother, he had a little bit of a speech impediment. So he's like, Liberace. He's up there doing the can. So at the end of days, your best match is going to be Santana and Playboy Buddy. Well,
you got Baron Corbin up in here all of a sudden.
Let's not go that far, okay? but it comes down to, I mean, honestly, like Playboy Buddy Rose was good before he gained all that weight, and that was the whole thing. We're not going to show him as the Executioner because we have really big plans. And I actually found some YouTube footage of Vince McMahon trying to bully his way into the Pacific Northwest and everything he was doing there. And he has an interview with Playboy Buddy Rose. So he really had a lot of things planned for him. But that's probably your best scientific match. Beefcake San Martino. So let's just go flush the toilet on that one. And then you have your main event that shouldn't have went that long. The spectacle and the highlight of WrestleMania 1 is Paul Orndorff turning babyface because he had so much momentum. And Piper was just so great. So great. You had to keep him as a heel at the time because he could do things that people could not. And if you realize, corner man for Hogan was Snuka. Because Piper and Snuka could sell out anywhere that Hogan was doing anything with anybody else. And everybody wanted Snuka as that champion, but the vision and
do you remember when was it that Snuka came off the cage in MSG?
Oh, I want to say 78.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't quote me, but I want to say 78. So everybody was in love with Snuka. And he was on the top, and he was shredded and Fiji, I mean, everything was going his way. Problem was, he also got in a little bit of trouble and he disappeared slightly thereafter. But is there a WrestleMania moment? I would say the only moment is Orndorff turning babyface. That's the only moment I can give you. And the fact that there was a potential moment with maybe Buddy Rose coming in later as Buddy Rose and not the Executioner. However, unfortunately, things didn't pan out that way.
I got to say, my WrestleMania moment is probably just the moment that I've seen hundreds, if not thousands of times from the show, which is that shot of Hogan and Mr. T walking down the hallway before they, make their entrance. I must have seen that clip 500, 600 times now that I almost don't, remember anything else from, I mean, obviously I wasn't even alive for this, but, going back and watching some of it, but I always love me some Greg the Hammer Valentine. So even though JYD was, pretty well past his prime at this point,
This was probably the Hammer's peak, like this and two. But
I love me the Hammer.
Greg could sell. He was an old schooler. He had psychology. He had everything that it was taken to be a true pro wrestler, not a sports entertainer. And that's kind of how they killed his career later on when they started calling boxcar and everything else. But that is one. So one set a precedent, funded unfortunately by Ole Anderson through poor decisions and trying to sell the Georgia time slot. But that's a whole other story for when we do more of the territory system and stuff like that, which we'll have Memphis Mark on. Now, Moose, I don't know what you're doing, but if you're biting him, stop biting him.
No, he just wants all the attention he can get. I will say maybe one other WrestleMania moment in that show was that I always remember was Andre, I guess, getting the bag of cash and throwing it all out.
The story always goes that it was real money, but then I've heard insiders also say, and
15 grand in 85. I mean, that's a lot of money.
That's a huge chunk of change. But I also heard that it was a couple of real bills on top and a bunch of monopoly money in the middle. So who knows? Because I don't know. I wasn't there.
I don't know. Vince had all his money on this show, right? So, I mean, he was putting everything up that he had. It had to work. And so I wouldn't be surprised, I guess, if maybe that was included in there. But I also then wouldn't be surprised if it was definitely fake money, because what else were they going to use?
Well, there's also the $1 Million Man thing, which we can get into that a lot later. But let's roll into two, my friend. Give me the card.
WrestleMania 2. Here we go. I got it pulled up here, so just give me a sec. There we go. All right, this one coming. This was the, I guess now infamous 3 different time zones. WrestleMania, April 7th, 1986. So we started off in the Nassau Coliseum in Long Island, New York, with Paul Orndorff versus the Magnificent Morocco, with Mr. Fuji in his corner, going 4 minutes, 10 seconds. Second match in Nassau was Randy Macho Man Savage with, of course, the gorgeous Miss Elizabeth, going against George the Animal Steele for the IC Championship at the time, going 5 minutes, 10 seconds, which, Macho could do anything, but
yeah.
Again, you talk about short matches now, but this particular one I think might be the worst offender of them all, because I have watched the show a couple of times and they were rolling through it. So
yeah.
5 minutes, 10 seconds. Third match, Jake the Snake Roberts and George Wells, who is definitely not a name that really sticks around. In 3
I'll
minutes,
get into him in a second, but go ahead, please.
In 3 minutes, 15 seconds. And then I guess your main event in the Nassau Coliseum, again, we get an appearance from, give him his credit, I guess. And again, coming back to today with celebrities involved, we bring back Mr. T, cornered with Joe Frazier and the Haiti Kid going against Rowdy Roddy Piper, who had Cowboy Bob Orton, of course, and Lou Duva. I'm not too familiar, to be perfectly honest, with that one. Again, the Jake Roberts match, I'm sorry, I forgot that, went 3 minutes, 15 seconds, so even shorter on that end. And then finally the Mr. T match going 13-14.
Do you remember how that match ended?
Boxing match. It was the boxing match, of course, yeah.
No, the George Wells, Jake the Snake match, it ends with they put the snake on George Wells and he starts foaming at the mouth. Like
sell, yeah.
George Wells, first of all, if people don't know, he was supposed to be the replacement when they took Junkyard Dog out of Mid-South Wrestling. They thought he was going to be the next Junkyard Dog, except he didn't have the charisma. And when Junkyard Dog got to WWF, prior WWE, he was out of shape and just phoned in the funk, so to speak. So you got this guy who was frumpy dumpy at home and all alone facing Jake, who's supposed to be a heel, but now everybody's loving him because he's throwing a snake on people and not caring and just cutting these promos where he's just the most cold-blooded human being on the world. And you're like, we're supposed to care about this guy? Let's see him foam at the mouth. But it was disgusting. So I was 11, and I'm just like, okay, keep going.
I can't go past that last match in Nassau without bringing one small thing up in the boxing match. One of the referees, bafflingly, was G. Gordon Liddy of Watergate fame. It's still to this day, I don't know. I don't know what Vince was going for there. So I guess who knows? But the second part of the show, migrating. Oh, did you have something to say about Mr. Liddy?
You know what I want to say, but I can't.
Is it Chevy Chase pretending to be G. Gordon Liddy in Fletch?
All I can say is Jimmy can edit this out or not because our editor is the best in the world, Jimmy Street. Go ahead.
All right, coming the second part of the show in the famous Rosemont Horizon, which I have been to and is a awesome arena. I haven't been there for a wrestling show, but at least it's one of the few good arenas for a concert. I'll give it that. In Chicago, Illinois. So we got the fabulous Moolah, the women's champion at the time, forever women's champion, it seems, in 1:25, defeating Velvet McIntyre. Ugh, that was a rough watch.
Stinker.
Moolah was always a rough watch. I know she was, famous women's wrestler for all those years, but man, I don't see the hype. And she was obviously had, huge issues as a person too. So without even taking that into account.
Yeah, I would say we could sidebar on that one because I think that you and I could do a whole show on her. Yeah.
We'll go with that.
As you were saying, sir.
Second match, Corporal Kirchner against Nikolai Volkov with Classy Freddie Blassie in a flag match. When's the last time you saw a flag match? Maybe WCW in the dying days, actually. That went 2 minutes and 5 seconds. And then the famous, after that, WWF versus NFL Battle Royale, which was won by Andre the Giant in 9 minutes, 13 seconds. Again, talk about a cluster.
Who was the last person he eliminated? Do you know
Bret Hart. The early young Bret Hart.
What colors was he wearing too?
Oh God, was he not in black and pink in that match? Was he wearing blue?
Black and baby blue.
Baby blue.
Got it. Yes.
I think if I remember watching it correctly for the first time, it was like, that's Bret Hart. Oh my God. But I mean, good Lord, that was maybe his first year in WWF, I guess, or something like that. After coming with Stu Stu.
Yeah, they had done a lot of house shows and a lot of main event, like the minor shows, because they only had Monday night prime time, but it was a studio show. It was very different. So anyway, as you were saying, keep going, sir.
And then the main event in the Rosemont Horizon there, a WWF tag team match between the Great British Bulldogs, Davey Boy, and the Dynamite Kid, who had Ozzy Osbourne in their corner at the time. Blonde Ozzy defeating the dream team of Greg, the Hammer Valentine, and Brutus Beefcake. Johnny Valiant there with them in 13 minutes and 3 seconds. So another one, again, 1:25, 2 minutes, 5 seconds, and then a battle royal that went 9 minutes, and then a 13-minute tag team burner.
That's a great way of putting it. A tag team burner. That's exactly what it was. Yeah.
But I'm just looking at some of the list of the NFL players that were in that battle royal, and there was not a whole lot of big names. I mean, even for the time. I mean, I wasn't around at this time, but you're talking about Bill Fralick, maybe Harvey Martin.
Big name.
Ernie Holmes might have been the biggest name at the time, or Jimbo Covert. But yeah, not a star-studded lineup in that match, at least from the NFL player side.
I believe it was Bill Fralick that specifically went after Big John Studd.
Mm-hmm.
And then Big John Studd, like he eliminated Studd, and I think Studd pulled him out by his hand when he went to shake his hand
Yeah.
for say, great heel moment.
And Bruno was in that match as well. I'm not sure how old he was at the time, but I mean, he must have been getting up there.
So was Ted Arcidi, who like
Mhm.
his chest is bigger than the window of this. I mean, the guy is the size of a door frame twice over. So
Oh, what am I thinking? Fridge Perry was in that match.
that's
He's
right.
clearly the star of
That
that
was the guy.
NFL
That was the
team.
guy. Yes, it wasn't Bill Frelick. It
Yeah.
was William the Refrigerator Perry that put Stud over. Then Stud pulled him out, and then Andre at the end he just kind of backed up and smiled, and that's why they do the Andre the Giant Battle Royal Memorial all the time now. Is because WrestleMania 2. And he was obviously every territory he went to, he was the king of the Battle Royal. I actually remember one territory, I think it was Dallas, where they did a slam royal where if you got body slammed, you were out. Really
They
weird.
should do that again. The audience
Honestly,
these days would love it. Are you kidding me?
it's different, but
Yeah.
let's keep rolling with
The third installment of this highly regarded WrestleMania out at the LA Sports Arena, LA Memorial Sports Arena in Los Angeles, California, starting off with what was actually a good match. We'll give it that. Maybe, I don't know, we'll get your word on it here in a second, but you got Ricky Steamboat going against Hercules Hernandez, 7 minutes, 27 seconds, Pretty good match.
I'll take a middle.
We're scraping a barrel here right now. I mean, it takes a few years for this show, as great as WrestleMania has become, over the years. I mean, you go back and look at some of these earlier ones, and it's like, wow, they made it past some really interesting shows, to say the least. I mean, the 3 time zone thing, I think, there's a reason they've never gone back and done that again. It's an absolute
Cluster.
Yeah.
CF.
But after that, a singles match between Adrian Adonis, who is just still severely underrated, I think, all these years later, defeating Uncle Elmer. How many of our listeners remember Uncle Elmer? In 3 minutes and 1 second there. And third match on that installment, Terry and Haas Funk defeating Tito Santana and the Junkyard Dog in a tag team match that went 11 minutes and 42 seconds, which was probably about 10 minutes or maybe 11 minutes longer than it should have. All due respect to Terry and Tito and JYD, but yeah, and then the main event, which again, maybe a contender. I don't wonder what you think is one of the worst WrestleMania main events of all time. Hogan against King Kong Bundy, and I like Bundy. As an old school, that 80s. He's got such an iconic look, and people know. He was on Married with Children a couple of times. I remember when I was a kid more than anything.
He's the walking condominium.
In a steel cage match, that old steel cage they used to have in 11 minutes.
Big Blue. Blue.
Man, that was, I grew up with that, but I look back on it now and it's like, God, how long they had that for so long. I guess it became ubiquitous. It was a look. It was something that was a trademark for them. But I hear that it was horrible to wrestle in. From different people who talk about it.
Well, here's my opinion on that whole WrestleMania. So between 1 and 2 is when I became a big wrestling fan. Obviously, with my timeline and everything, that's when it happened. Okay. And Hulkamania was in its birth, and there was wrestling on almost every channel, territorial, national, everything. It was great. It was a great time to be a wrestling fan because you got to see all these stars before they got destroyed by the national expansion. And I'm sorry, but that's really what happened to a lot of stars. However, WrestleMania 2, I really thought Bundy was going to kill Hogan because that's the way they had built it. They did Saturday Night's Main Event where he squashed him, broke his ribs. There was all kinds of like events, and like Big John Studd was helping him.
Yeah.
Andre was about to disappear to go film Princess Bride, where he became the best friend of Billy Crystal for the rest of his life. Billy Crystal was his best friend till his ending days. A lot of people may not know that, but it's a really cool fact. That's why he made the movie My Giant. I always talk about that. But when it comes down to it, one of the biggest things about WrestleMania 2 was Uncle Elmer.
Yeah.
Versus Adrian Adonis. Now, Adrian Adonis, when he was younger, when he was a brawler,
I mean, people would probably know him by another name, let's be honest. I mean, Plowboy.
Plowboy Frazier, yes, true. And that was big Memphis territory situation. Yeah. And my whole thing with this situation is that was probably the worst match. That was just a lot.
Agreed. And I do like Adrian Adonis. I think he is underrated in kind of the pantheon.
His tag teams with Ray the Crippler Stevens, come on. I know I'm going back. I know I'm an elder statesman. But those tag teams, everything they did way back then, and Adrian Adonis is the brawler with the leather glove and just being a jerk and just beating you, that was something big.
Yeah.
And then you see him because he's being punished for gaining so much weight. Maybe he had a thyroid issue. I don't know. It was 86.
And he was cooler with that look, yes. But even when they put him in the prissy, gimmick, I mean, he owned it.
He did. Well, he did. But we'll get to that on 3.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to brass tacks and baseball bats, that was the worst match. It was like taking 2 pork chops and just slapping it and then putting one on the other top. And like Hogan and Bundy was no great match. And the Funk match definitely shouldn't have been on there, really. I mean, there's ways they could have finessed that and had just better booking and better timing with that. But
I remember watching it years ago on, probably YouTube or something when I was going through a bunch of that old stuff, and it says 11 minutes 42 here. I swear to God, it felt like it went on for an hour.
Exactly.
It was that bad.
So do you feel that there was a WrestleMania moment? Because I feel there was a WrestleMania downfall, and that was definitely Uncle Elmer and Adrian Adonis. Because that's something you could have done on a Saturday.
I got to be honest.
Show.
If there's any, and I mean, this has to be up there for one of the worst WrestleManias, and I think that's warranted. And proof of that is, to be honest with you, I really don't know if there was much of a WrestleMania moment on this show. I mean, even trying to go back in the memory banks here, looking at some of these, straight up. I mean, you had Randy Savage going for 5 minutes, and again, these times on these, preliminary matches were just, I mean, it beggars belief, I guess it makes sense at that time in the 80s of WWF with what they were doing, but I just don't really, this is one show that I if it wasn't for the fact that it was in 3 different time zones and that was the whole gimmick, I don't know that I would have remembered anything about this. For the most part, it was a very forgettable show.
Well, before we go on to 3, I'm going to give you one more fun fact. WrestleMania 2 was replayed on HBO.
It's not TV, it's HBO.
Exactly. But yes, it was. And that's actually how I saw it, because
they were showing it in movie. Well, I guess they did that for a lot of things, but my uncle, I remember talking about going to see it in one of the movie theaters here around town back at that time.
Yeah, closed circuit, definitely. They did the closed circuit thing where it was beamed specifically to movie theaters and they would play it there. However, it was replayed on HBO, and that's how I got to see it, actually, about a month after it aired. And I was just like, oh, wow, this is so awesome. And that's how I remember Bret Hart, being the last person against the Andre the Giant, and just the turd in the punch bowl that was Hogan versus Bundy. Heenan was the person who made that match. It was Heenan's antics, his selling, everything he did at ringside, I think made more of that match than anything that happened inside that garbage blue steel cage.
Yeah. And one thing that doesn't get talked about a lot is how is Bundy able to be pinned a lot of the time? Because I don't think his shoulders could really touch the mat. He was so round. He was such a round body.
I guess that's why so many wrestlers say use the dreaded roll-up.
Yeah. All right. Now we're starting to get somewhere with the next one. There's still issues that we will talk about, but This is, I've told you before a little bit personally. I was 5 days old, March 29th, 1987, the first big event of my actual life. 78,000 reported people in the Pontiac Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. Bigger, better, badder. WrestleMania 3. Trying to do my best Vince McMahon right there without shouting for the entire apartment complex to hear. But there were a lot of matches on this. It's still a lot of really short run times, but you start off with a pretty good tag team match, I think. Can-Am Connection, Rick Martel and Tom Zank defeating Bob Orton and Morocco with Mr. Fuji in their corner. Pretty good match, actually. Pretty fun tag team.
Yes, definitely. Big fan of Tom Zink. Rest in peace.
Yeah. The second match, Billy Jack Haynes, who was a big local villain for a long time here with, not Continental, USWA maybe, back in the early 90s. I remember, I have vague memories as a kid of Billy Jack Haynes being kind of a big villain in the Louisville area at that time. With going against, I can't speak right now, going against Hercules with Bobby Heenan, of course, in a singles match going 7:44. That ended in a double countout. So we all love good double countouts on a WrestleMania.
Let me interject for one moment. First of all, what was up with Billy Jack's hat with all those little tassels hanging off?
It's wrestling, baby.
And he did wrestle in Continental, but he was the invader from Portland. That was still part of Vince trying to get everybody from Portland. But as you were saying, yeah, that match was just hoss on hoss, but no direction whatsoever.
No. I mean, again, Hercules, I think maybe deserves a little bit more credit than he kind of gets sometimes. Not the greatest wrestler by any means, but he looked amazing. I mean, he had to have one of the best physiques in wrestling in the 80s. I mean, he looked like $1 million.
Easily.
I like the chain, that all worked really well for me when I was a kid and kind of starting to watch some of this. But then after that match, you probably know where this is going. The fun Hillbilly Jim, Haiti Kid, and Little Beaver 6-man tag team match. Again, I mean, you got Hillbilly Jim and King Kong Bundy surrounded by, again, Haiti Kid, Little Beaver, Little Tokyo, and Lord Littlebrook. How many times can we beat the little dead horse in naming these, I'm going to do it again, little person wrestlers?
This was garbage. This is. I mean, I don't really have to go further into speaking. Like, I'm telling you, this was the downfall of a WrestleMania moment. This wasn't a WrestleMania moment. Let me start there.
3 minutes. It feels so much longer than that.
Bundy squashes what? Haiti or Beaver? Yeah, one of the two.
Yeah, one of them. I can't remember which.
How about we just started out with that and just bleach our eyeballs from that whole situation? So there was no WrestleMania moment there. Okay, keep going, please.
All right. You got two legends in the next match, Harley Race and Junkyard Dog in the loser must bow match that went 4 minutes, 22 seconds, which is probably all they could give really at the time. But, two former, Harley still had a little bit left in him, I think. He kept it going into his old age pretty good, but obviously JYD was pretty well cooked, as the kids say at that point. After that, a tag team match with the Dream Team again. Greg Valentine and Brutus Beefcake defeating the Rougeaus, Jacques Rougeau and Raymond Rougeau. Again, 4 minutes. These times are killing me, man. I mean, just growing up in the era that I did, it's crazy to go back and look at some of the times on these WrestleMania matches from back then.
Well, also, if you look back at that match, everybody sat on their hands. There was nothing going on. Like, nobody cared about this match.
Yeah, and they're two good tag teams with some. I mean, all four of those guys are pretty damn solid wrestlers. Solid to really good.
Minus Beefcake. But, yeah. But, so, brass tacks and baseball bats, it was just really, really.
It's a shame of a match.
It wasn't even mediocre. It was. Imagine you walk into a room and you want to get something to eat. And I always use food analogies because of the business I'm in. And you have this whole buffet. And then over on the side, you have a plate of just onions. And you just kind of look at it. They were the plate of onions. Like, I could accent something with the onions, but I'm not just going to eat the onions. No one could eat this match. No one could digest what was supposed to happen or care about it. You want your steak. You want your asparagus. They go together. There's no steak and asparagus. It was just a plate of onions.
Yeah.
So, okay.
After that, another one that was kind of, sports entertaining. I'll say that. Piper defeating Adrian Adonis in a hair versus hair match. That was always a fun one to watch when I go back and watch some of these old ones on WrestleMania 3. That was a fun time. I was thoroughly sports entertained watching that one.
I've got a lot of stuff to say about that one, but well, actually, if I could interject, on the build up to this, we had Piper's Pit, and then next door to it, back when you didn't do it in the ring and you did it at ringside areas.
I missed that, by the way.
Oh, I like that better. Honestly, I really like that better. You had Adrian Adonis's flower shop, and they were really pushing it that he was homosexual. They made him come out on Tuesday Night Titans and say he was homosexual, and he wasn't. Vince was really punishing this man, a man who was known as a brawler just because he had a weight problem. So it is what
Probably
it is.
had an attitude problem, pal.
Yeah, pal. But Piper said the craziest thing on air. They destroyed Piper's Pit, and Piper came out. It was a Saturday morning, and my mom yelled at me because I was watching wrestling, and I wasn't supposed to. And Piper came out. I think he had a baseball bat, and he screamed, "You sons of bitches." And I was like, oh,
wow.
Oh, my Lord.
Just wait for Austin to show up.
I couldn't believe he said that. He's like, I'm going to take care of these sons of bitch. And he just took the bat and he just destroyed the flower shop. And I was like, Piper better win this. And it was all about because Piper wore a kilt and Adrian was in a muumuu.
Well, there was no way Adrian was going to be winning this match and keeping his hair. Again, like you said, the punishment, the way that Vince was treating Adrian, there was no way that he was getting out of this match with hair.
See, here's the thing. In today's society, minus the hair stipulation, I think this could work.
Yeah. I mean, it was a fun match.
It was a fun match. Adrian got to do a little bit more of wrestling than Uncle Elmer stuff, even though he's way past his prime. And I feel so bad for him for his weight issues because he did not deserve. No, they say he stopped working out, but I really think it was more than that. I think it was a thyroid issue, whatever.
We know how Vince feels about some of these guys that were bigger. I mean, look at the way he treated. I mean, we have to embarrass Dusty for some reason.
Dusty, yeah. Well, he was one of the greatest of all time, baby.
I mean, and Adrian was no Dusty. No, but with all due respect to Adrian Adonis,
but I will say, like his tag teams, like I said with Ray the Crippler,
yeah,
that was money. So, getting back to it because I don't want to eat up too much time on this is the fact that was a way better match. Of course, Adrian loses his hair. I think Jimmy Hart was his manager, and they just went forward with it, but. There was a story told before and a story told after. That was an actual story going into WrestleMania 3 besides the two other main stories. And you're going to get to those two soon. Yeah. So hit it.
Well, it's not the next one, but the next one was, again, another fairly decent match. Six-man tag match between Dangerous Danny Davis and the Hart Foundation against Tito and the British Bulldogs. Of course, when you get the Harts and the Bulldogs together, it's hard for them to put on something bad. Maybe not the greatest match ever, but it was not bad.
Yeah, you can't really F that up now, can you?
All right.
I will say that everybody knew that Danny Davis was going to take the fall or whatever. I mean, like, first of all, I was never a fan of Danny Davis turning wrestler after being like, referee or whatever. It's like the Brad Maddox thing for more current fans and things like that. But I mean, this was a see-through match that you could have taken Tito and Davis out of just had a great marquee tag team match.
Yeah.
So that's where the ball was fumbled on that one. So as you are, sir.
After that, we've got another sub 4 minute match. Butch Reed and Slick defeating Coco Beware and oh God, now I'm going to forget the bird's name.
Frankie.
Frankie, thank you. Exactly. After that, you alluded to it already, but obviously we look back on it fondly now. One of the best pure wrestling matches that WWF had probably ever put on. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat against Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth in an incredibly just it was well put together, of course, by those guys, but scintillating is the word when you watch that match. It went the opposite of some of these other matches we've talked about. It went 14 minutes and 35 seconds. It felt like it went about 6 minutes. It was just go, go, and everything was fantastic. It's a great match.
Okay, this is what I got to say. That is the WrestleMania moment. Okay.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 3 was built on 2 moments. It's built on 2 moments. Okay. But number one is that match because that was the standard in American wrestling for a long time. I mean, first of all, I knew Savage was good, but I didn't know he was that good. But Steamboat,
coming out party for him really on a national stage.
Steamboat showers off more talent than most people can ever attain.
I can still hear Monsoon and Ventura. You know, those deep arm drags.
Oh, those deep arm drags. I've never seen a hip toss like that. Oh, I don't know, Gorilla.
And give them credit, you know. And obviously, Heenan and Monsoon were great. Jesse Ventura was awesome on commentary most of the time, and him and Gorilla worked great together. They were awesome during this match. It is, I think, to this day, legitimately top 5, maybe top 3 WrestleMania match, period.
I would say definitely a top 3 out of all WrestleManias 1 through 42. Definitely.
I might go watch it after we're done with this, just for funsies.
Well, just for nostalgia's sake. I mean, this was a standard in American wrestling until Steamboat Flair 3 series. This is WrestleMania, so we're talking about this. So we can go into that at another time when Sean and I can do a deep dive, and a really good deep dive on NWA and how you missed out. But brass tacks and baseball bats, let's get down to it. This was a WrestleMania actual moment. This made 2 careers in 2 different trajectories at the same time.
And it's a formula that WWF and NTE has followed several times over, where you have that moment of the ring bell thing that they had built up to and then repeated that beat. You know, they're starting to really get the televised, the pay-per-view storytelling as, you know, to the point that where it goes into the future of some of the golden age of this WWF era. With this match and putting on something that, especially a longer run story on TV, develops into in a blow off like that.
I couldn't believe that they told such a great story that was the crushed larynx of Steamboat. George the Animal Steel was there doing this.
And Steamboat's promo right before the match. Or both of them, really, obviously.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
Steamboat just had that perfect timing where he was still into it, and the music starts creeping up right at the end and you're just ready for it. You know, we could sit here for another hour, and maybe we'll do an episode on it. But it's an amazing.
If the build of the top of WrestleMania 3 was not the crescendo of crescendos that people were looking for, it wasn't the match. But we're gonna get to that in a second.
Yeah. We're going to fly through these next 2 matches because they're really nothing. You got Honky Tonk Man defeating Jake the Snake Roberts with Alice Cooper in his corner. Coming after any other match, it probably would have been better than it was, and more well received. But coming off of that match, it's a total, it's your cigarette after sex match. Let's be honest. It was good.
It was disgusting. It was terrible. I wanted Jake to win that. I thought it was. that was a disappointment match.
Yeah.
It was definitely a downfall match.
It can't come after, Steamboat Savage,
Yeah.
but after that, Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov defeating the Killer Bees, that's all that needs to be said about that, I think. Let's be honest.
Didn't need to be on the card.
And then, of course, again, this is the other WrestleMania moment in this show for the World Heavyweight Championship. Of course, Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. Not the greatest match of all time, but we talked about this on the Hulk Hogan episode, if I remember correctly. When you talk about, especially nowadays, the aura that people want to get away with, and there was a lot of that going on with Roman and Punk at this previous WrestleMania, not to this level. And it's not the greatest match, but it's really well paced when you go back and watch it. There's a lot of time left for the crowd. I think more than anything, what I appreciate is how they did let the crowd kind of carry this match more than anything. They let the match breathe.
Very brilliant analysis.
They let the match breathe, and that's what it needed to do. It did not need to go out there and try to one-up Steamboat Savage because it wasn't going to do that. But as a moment, as an iconic match, it deserves its flowers for that, I think, 100%.
So this was the draw. When I started watching wrestling between 1 and 2, and then all of a sudden Andre disappears. They create this whole storyline. They do the machines, everything else. Andre's back, and all of a sudden he's a heel with Bobby, and I'm like, there's no way Hogan can win. And I wasn't buying into it at this point. I was starting to get a little worn out because I was watching a lot of NWA, my boy Ric Flair, before he was insane. And but I was like, there's no way. I just kept saying that. And then when they built this match, the momentum going into it, and everything that just kept going and building, and it's like, what's going to happen? All the face-offs, all the challenges, the contract signing, that and the Ron Simmons versus Luger contract signing should be the only contract signings in history. I don't ever want to see another contract. I never want to see one after that, and I sure as hell don't want to see one again. It's so stupid. Sean,
if there's anything else that doesn't require like a great wrestling match, that's the one. The promos, the whole lead up to it, Andre coming out with no music, I don't know if you can hear this. I think my neighbors are having a rave right now. Just started. Sorry, I got a little distracted there, but
I've got the light for it, so
yeah, no music. He's getting some trash thrown at him. Classic. Hogan's music hits, and even again, we talked about this on the Hogan episode. Neither of us were the biggest Hogan fans, but even going back, just everything around the match, it didn't matter that it wasn't the greatest technical match of all time, but everything just kind of clicked on that night with everything else around it. Get up, get up. Get up! Andre was so good in that match. It might be, it's not his best match of all time, but he was really getting it. He knew what he needed to go out there and do to deliver, and he really did. So I think it's still a great match.
So my assessment of this WrestleMania, and you can defer to me or defer back, or you can take away from me at any point, but there was two moments. There's two actual moments, which is Steamboat and Savage. No one's ever going to take that away. That was the best American wrestling match until Steamboat and Flair. And there's a constant, obviously, and there's a variable, which is a great variable on both sides, too. Okay, at the time for their youth. But the draw, the mentality, the psychology, and the story of Andre turning on Hogan.
Yeah.
That was a WrestleMania moment.
Yeah, A+.
Now, looking back at the card, what would you say was the worst?
It's just based on their placement of the show too. I think you could take either of the two matches after in between the Steamboat Savage and the main event. But Can-Am Connection was pretty okay.
Yeah, that was mediocre.
Danny Davis.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I was going to go.
The rest of the show is not particularly great.
I love the fact that he was the natural Butch Reed, but he dyed his hair blonde.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Vince, you're a racist. We get it. Okay. So now, my friend Sean Bush, we're going into WrestleMania 4, and there's been some controversy.
Yeah.
We've had a Saturday night's main event, and we had one of the shortest, I guess the shortest title reign in history. I don't know, because they say some of the times when they cash in the Money in the Bank, which I think ruined wrestling, but we'll get to that at another point.
Maybe
Andre beats Hogan in a botched pin, which I think they should have just gave it to Andre, really. At his age and everything else, and knowing he was going out soon, just give him the pin. But he sells the title immediately to Ted DiBiase. Then it's held up by Jack Tunney. And all of a sudden, we set the stage for WrestleMania 4. So now we have a big story. We have a huge story going into 4. Who's going to be the champion? So, tell me about WrestleMania 4. Set that stage for me, please.
Yeah, 1988 in Atlantic City, New Jersey. The Atlantic City Convention Center, or the Trump Plaza, I think they were calling it at the time. My God, 16 matches. I mean, I know it was a tournament sort of show, but this one was a slog too, I'll be honest.
It was brutal. It was brutal.
Yeah. And coming off, 3 is its own thing, but they open it with a battle royale. Bad News Brown, last eliminating again, Bret the Hitman Hart. Yeah,
that was good though. I like the way that ended.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, Bad News Brown, and he just went in the Hall of Fame, I guess, as a legend, is what they're calling him. Another one of those guys that I'm glad he's in the Hall of Fame now, because maybe not the biggest name to a lot of people these days, but he was good. Even in WWF when he got a little bigger, he was good. But after that, then we start the tournament. Ted DiBiase defeating Jim Duggan.
Who didn't see that one coming?
Well, we know where we're going with this main event, don't we?
Obviously, keep going.
Yeah. After that, you keep the tournament going. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first 6 matches after that battle royale were all starting down the tournament run. Don Morocco with superstar Billy Graham in his corner defeating Dino Bravo with Frenchie Martin by disqualification. Yeah. All these matches are fairly short too. All of them under 10 minutes, most of them under or around 5 minutes. So we'll try to get a little going on that afterwards. Greg the Hammer Valentine and Jimmy Hart defeating Ricky Steamboat.
Which that was a surprise, because a lot of people had picked Steamboat to go the whole way through, and he was in the best shape of his career ever.
Was that his last year in that was his last year in WWF? He left
before he came back as the Dragon. Yes. Yeah.
After that, Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth defeating Butch Reed and Slick. After that, One Man Gang, again with Slick defeating Bam Bam with Oliver Humperdinck, which is always a little confounding to me, that nothing against Oliver Humperdinck, but
that whole storyline was just kind of confounded, but that was part of the Mid-South buyout thing.
Yeah. Does Bam Bam need a manager too?
No.
He's too, for a guy his size, not only his athleticism and wrestling ability and all that, but he's also very much a charismatic guy who probably really didn't need that.
The word is he ticked off Andre, and there was some bad blood backstage, and so he was leaving on the way out. Wasn't it like a 1.5-minute match or 2-minute match?
2 minutes 56, just over 2 minutes.
And this is shortly before One Man Gang, who, as One Man Gang, was amazingly talented. And then you made him shucking and jiving as Akeem, the African Dream, which was a play on Dusty Rhodes.
I would love to see them try that these days. Yeah.
No joke.
All right. After that, we get the last of the first round matches. Jake Roberts defeating Rick Rude, of course, with Bobby Heenan. It actually was a time limit draw. I take that back. Not a defeat, a time limit draw. 15 minutes.
Dang.
So, good match.
Because that boils out the next round.
We hate draws, but that was still a good match.
Yes. And I mean, honestly, two ring psychologists and two great performers. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nobody who could probably do a better promo in the slow mode than Jake the Snake Roberts, and there's probably nobody who's just more jacked and can create a match for a big guy than Rick Rude.
Yeah.
And only one got his flowers.
They had a
being
great
Rude.
promo too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, both of them.
Yeah.
Different ways, but they were both great promos. All right. So after that, we get a singles match, a little bit of a squash, if you will. Ultimate Warrior, who's coming on big at that point, defeating Hercules. Probably one of the
Yeah,
man.
no point in the tournament, Hercules. We knew that was going to happen. Okay.
All right. Now we start getting back into the tournament matches again. These are all 5 minutes, under 6 minutes long, basically. Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant ending in a disqualification, which, coming off of WrestleMania 3, that had to have been, I mean, I wasn't around at the time, but even watching back in hindsight, wow. Talk about probably get a come down, after a good one the year before.
But you realize what everybody did in the crowd at that point. They popped because they knew we were going to see something new. We're going to see a new world champion. It's no longer Hogan, and Andre's out of the mix. Holy biscuits. Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be?
Mm-hmm.
That was a really big turn point.
All right. After that, Ted DiBiase defeating Don Morocco. In 5 minutes 44. Keep it going after that. Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth defeating Greg the Hammer Valentine and Jimmy Hart.
Who didn't see that one coming?
Well, two of my favorites, from around that time. Put on a decent little match in 6 minutes for a quarterfinal. And then after that, we have a championship match. How about that? A championship match on a WrestleMania, match number 12. Brutus Beefcake defeating the then champion Honky Tonk Man by DQ. So no belt changed hands. We have to wait for that a little bit later. Honky Tonk. We know who's coming for you. After that, you got it. After that, a 6-man tag team match between Haku and Tama, the Islanders and the British Bulldogs, and Coco Beware. Bobby Heenan gets to do a little bit in this match, which Bobby Heenan, for all his praise as a manager, well deserved. Bobby Heenan was a good worker. He could work a match.
Well past his prime.
Yes.
Well past his prime. But verbally in his prime.
Oh, he wasn't out of his prime verbally until, unfortunately, his health caught up to him, which is, I think we've talked about before, just one of the worst sets of ironies that you can, give to a guy like that, so gifted with his speaking, and just to take that away from him. It's a cruel world, but that match went 7 minutes 30 seconds. It was good for what it was. So after that, and first WrestleMania here with Haku, who became a favorite of mine for a long time in WCW later on. I didn't know his reputation until years later, but apparently don't F with Haku.
I don't know anybody who's smart enough or dumb enough. I don't know either way anybody who would do that.
No, not what I know now. But all right, after that, Randy Savage defeating the one-man gang by DQ in the last of the semifinal matches, which sets up the main event after a really fun tag team championship match between Demolition, newly enshrined tag team or Hall of Fame members, Demolition, Axe and Smash against Strike Force. Again, maybe somewhat, I mean, I say underrated, but they were the champs. But Strike Force, really, really good, really solid tag team for a couple of years there with Tito and Rick Martel. I know you're a fan.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that was a good match. That might be the best match on this card.
I was going to argue that with you, but now I can't argue it. So yes,
when we agree, we can't argue, right? But no, I mean, that was probably the best, and that went 12 minutes 33 tag team championship match. you end up getting Savage and DiBiase in the finals for the heavyweight championship, which it was all right. It didn't really not the greatest main event out there, but it was okay. And you got two,
It felt
legitimate
forced.
stars.
It felt really forced to me. Like,
Yeah.
let's get it over. Let's get it over.
Well,
People are ready to go.
why do we think things felt forced in a match that Hulk Hogan wasn't technically in? Gee, I wonder why
We
that
want to
could
see
have
what's
been.
going to happen. Like, let's get it over. Let's see what's the new. And that was the problem with this match is the fact that a lot of people don't know DiBiase was originally supposed to go over, and then there was
Yeah.
a lot of backstage politics with Savage, Savage is good, but Steamboat honestly should have been the guy to do it all. And if you're going to go
Well,
babyface,
that's why I asked. I'm not sure when exactly Steamboat left and went back over to WCW, but if it wasn't too long after that, maybe they knew that was coming and weren't going to put him in that situation.
it becomes Vince's punishment for wanting time with your family.
Yeah, well, how
Yes.
dare you?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, sorry, pal. You're
We're
a
your
wrestler
family.
now.
We're your
Yeah.
family, pal. But
Andre's your
yeah,
uncle.
if it wasn't for that tag team match, I mean, this show would be, I mean, it's already fairly well down the list, I think, in totality. But Demolition and Strike Force was a really fun match. Really
It
good,
was
good tag team wrestling.
it was a great tag team match, actually. I would say it's not the epitome of tag team wrestling, but you had four workers who knew what they were
Yeah.
really doing. I mean, Darso had honed his craft. I mean, I think that Bill Eadie as Axe, like, people do not appreciate his earlier career as a mass superstar,
Yeah.
and he was one of the machines. The guy could wrestle. He was just an elder statesman by the time he got there, and
Well, he still had it too. I mean, at least up there.
he did. He
He
really
had a
did.
great mind for it.
Psychology,
Yeah.
yes, absolute psychology. So, yeah,
And of course, I love Demolition, so
who doesn't?
oh, that
Who
was
doesn't?
that was the start of their long reign, I guess.
I love the demolition finisher. I mean, that was fun,
Yeah.
and the team was great. They went
Well,
on a lot.
well deserving of a Hall of Fame place. I'm glad they did it before either of them died. Not to be.
I got to say that's
down.
probably the WrestleMania moment because it started a lineage,
Yeah.
and a lot of matches did not. I mean, Savage lasted a year as champ, so it was a new birth for him as champ. But honestly, I think Steamboat would have been better. Fact is, Steamboat couldn't cut a promo to save his life.
That does bring us to, after a year as champion, we now go to 1989, WrestleMania 5. The Mega Powers explode. And again, Atlantic City, New Jersey. So we're doing like we did this past year, both in Las Vegas, going back to Atlantic City for what was again a decent WrestleMania. I think there were some good matches on here. So we
Okay.
start off with Hercules and King Haku, which is an underrated time in his
Yeah.
career, I think. King Haku. Fun match. Good opening match. After that, the Twin Towers, Akeem, the Dream, as you said, formerly One Man Gang, and the Big Boss Man, another really good big man who had a good mind for the business, coming up with Cornette and those guys and getting it.
Boss man.
Yeah. And could go. I love Boss Man. He was.
Ray Trailer was,
Yeah.
they say, a legit tough guy. I mean, hey, I have no problems with him. Honestly, as a big guy, for what he could do, especially when he lost a lot of weight, when he became the boss man, when he first came in, he was overweight, and then he lost all that weight and became a really good performer. So I got no problems with him. I think he overstayed his welcome in the wrestling industry, so to speak. But
He was good.
he was
Boss Man
good.
was
Yeah,
good.
legit big guy.
All right. Another double countout match after 10 minutes. Brutus Beefcake versus DiBiase. Fun match. I'll give, a little bit of credit to Beefcake. I thought it was a fun match.
They tried.
Maybe a little bit too long at 10 minutes for that one, especially ending in a double count out. If you're going to end in a double count out, might not want to take upwards of double digits you know.
Well, for DiBiase falling so far down the card at
Yeah.
the time, that was I think a slap in the face.
I don't disagree with that at all. After that, call the kids in. We got the Bushwhackers, Luke and Butch. God love them, defeating the Fabulous Rougeaus.
Thank God.
Fun little 5-minute tag team match. Get the kids in, do their thing. We're gone, you know.
For all you kids out there, by the way, or younger people, anybody who had never seen the Bushwhackers as the sheep herders in
Well, yeah.
Mid-South.
I didn't. When I was a kid, I loved them, and then I grew up and I realized where they had come from, and
They were the bloodiest brawlers you've ever
quite
seen.
a dichotomy, exactly, yeah.
And their flag bearer, the guy that took care of them, some guy named John Laurinaitis.
Yeah. Johnny Ace.
Yeah. All right, as you were saying.
Yeah, after that, a 5-minute match between two guys that should have gotten more time than that. Mr. Perfect and the Blue Blazer.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, you know.
Writing clinic right there.
Yeah, well, talk about getting too short. They only went 5 minutes and 38 seconds there. Yeah.
Should have been. No, and I'm not doing that as a bad match. I'm saying good match, bad time.
Bad time. Well, take some of that off the Beefcake DiBiase match and we'll be all right. After that, we're still on a good tag team run here with Demolition Axe and Smash defeating the Powers of Pain, which was the Warlord and the Barbarian. Another underrated tag team. They were pretty good.
It was okay. It was a big beef slapping match, but they wrote it well.
And they had Mr. Fuji actually got in on the action for that. It was technically a handicap tag team match, which we love Fuji. I love Fuji, so.
Fuji and his face paint. That was the funniest part. It's like
it was, wasn't it?
How was he a manager when he could barely speak English? I just don't get it. He just had the cane. That's all. Oh, ha, ha, I hook you or I beat you with it. That was it.
He was gone from Demolition at that point, though. I think he was with the Powers of Pain. Yeah,
because they did the switch.
Yeah. All right. After that, Dino Bravo and Frenchie Martin defeating Ronnie Garvin. Love Ronnie Garvin and Dino Bravo too, but
it could go anywhere.
Yeah, 3-minute match, not really, kind of filler on this one. Let's be honest.
That's the one that could probably fall off this Mania. I would say.
They are getting a little better with the match quality. I think consistently around this time. Next, because again, the next one up is another really good tag team match: the Brain Busters, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard against Strike Force. Really fun match.
Great match.
Was this a gold? Maybe not the golden era, but at least in WWF, this was like kind of the golden era of tag teams. I think
it was probably I would say so. It was the highlight. Yeah, it was definitely the highlight.
Yeah,
but I mean, you had 4 guys who could work, just 4 guys who could go to work, and I would say this is probably I don't want to say a moment. I would say it's a WrestleMania moment for the 4 of them. It's not something that you're always going to remember, but when you look back and you watch what was the greatest worked match, this match is right there.
Well, and I think to that point, still, that was after the tag team championship match that they just had with Demolition and the Powers of Pain, and then even after that, down the list a bit, you get a Hart Foundation match with Rhythm and Blues. So the tag team division at that time was pretty well stacked in the Fed.
Agreed.
They had a lot of good tag teams going on, before that match, Jake Roberts defeating Andre the Giant. With Big John Studd as a special guest referee. Not bad. Fun little match, but sloppy. Andre was on his last legs at this point.
Yeah, he really was.
And with as good as Jake Roberts was, never the greatest wrestler in the ring. But they could tell a story.
It makes it. Well, the story was he was afraid of a snake.
Yeah,
I remember him cutting the promo. He's like, "You come, you wrestle me, but you leave that snake at home, okay?" So, I gotta say that I did enjoy the storyline going into it, but the match was forced. So that's what I saw.
as we just mentioned, Heart Foundation defeating Rhythm and Blues, which is Greg Valentine and the Honky Tonk Man. Good enough. Good enough match. I'm not gonna. I got nothing real bad to say about it. It just was a good tag team match.
A placeholder for more main event matches. So
Yeah, which the first one coming up right after that for the IC title was Rick Rude beating the Ultimate Warrior.
Great match because I wanted
really, maybe the best, second maybe best match wrestling wise on the card. And
it involved the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
That's how good Rick Rude was. People do not understand. Rick was that damn good that he could make the Warrior look good in the ring.
Yeah, and I will come on it when we get to that WrestleMania, but I mean, even a guy like, they put him and Hogan together in a main event that ended up being what it needed to be. I think that's the thing with Warrior. If you handled him right, he could put on those kind of matches. You put him in the ring with somebody who knows what they're doing. You do the right thing with him. It didn't just have to be a squash and the Ultimate Warrior thing. It could work. And maybe it was a lot of him too, being on the right day or just in the right attitude, right mood for it. So really good match. Really, really good match. After that, you get a couple of fillers here, literally with one of them. Bad News Brown and Jim Duggan. Another double disqualification. Nah.
It is what it is.
Yeah, and so is the Red Rooster defeating Bobby Heenan in a singles match that lasted 31 seconds.
Shouldn't have been on the card. Should not have been on the card.
All due respect to both of those guys, but we just needed to waste 31 seconds like that.
It's a punishment WrestleMania match. That's what that was.
Yeah. And then the main event, again, the Mega Powers collide, explode, if you will. Hogan defeating Randy Savage. With Miss Elizabeth in the neutral corner, which was all story, but a good story. And maybe went a little bit too long for what these guys were doing at the time, 1754. But it was the championship, and it was a good match. Not the best on this card, but it was a good match.
Well, a lot of that
Great
obviously
story.
it was definitely Savage carrying that because Hogan, we all know, is a punch kick body slam guy, big boot. That's it.
It
leg
worked
drop.
great against Hogan or against Andre rather. But yeah, I mean it was the story, the ultimate storyline leading up, a really good storyline leading up to a match that was fine, just fine.
Well, I got to say that it was a storyline that they actually built and it exploded. However, the WrestleMania moment to me is Rude beating Ultimate Warrior. That's the moment.
I'll give you that. I would even say that maybe the WrestleMania moment was not even on WrestleMania. It might have been what led up to that whole thing with the Mega Powers. Was it on a Saturday night's main event or maybe Rumble or something? One of those previous shows where Hogan carries Liz off and Macho. Yeah, very memorable. I mean, even to this day, still a great story that they were able to culminate there just with a decent match.
I would say so. Well, I think that we've done WrestleManias 1 through 5, so that's a part 1.
Yeah.
Wow. So
I knew that. I had a feeling this was we're gonna have to.
Well, that's because when we get go, but that's why we're the boys. That's why we're Wrestle Magic, because it's not just it's Wrestle Magic. So, you have any? Well, let's give a moment to do our outros.
Wrestle Magic.
Are we going to talk about what we've been watching lately this time, or?
Absolutely. Go ahead, give your recommendations.
Everybody should get on YouTube because I think all the seasons are on there, but there's a British show called Taskmaster. You should all go watch it because it's extremely entertaining and very funny. That's all I got to say. Just do yourself a favor and go watch Taskmaster on YouTube. It's free.
Honestly, I've been watching a lot of YouTube myself, and I've been watching a show by a guy named Steve Wallace. He's a stealth camper, and I really enjoy it. And this guy just finds the weirdest places to go camping where he's not supposed to. And one of my favorites is where he camps in the bushes in front of a police station. And
I've never heard of that before, but I think Steve Wallace. I'm gonna have to check
Steve
that
Wallace,
out.
yeah. And so I was trying to get him to come to Memphis to see a friend of mine who runs the Canadian restaurant down there, because behind where my friend lives, there's a giant lagoon and there was a crashed houseboat. And I was like, this would be perfect. This would be absolutely perfect. However, he doesn't want to, I guess, travel outside Canada right now. But it's a very interesting series. So,
Can you blame him? Yeah.
yeah, well, the episode that hooked me where he camped out in a culvert underneath a rural highway. He just like parked his car like 200 yards down the road and put a sign on it like I'll be back tomorrow for it. And he set up everything and just parked or camped in this culvert. And it's like, you're insane, man. You're
He's just
insane.
like LARPing as a houseless person, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And then music wise, I've been listening to a lot of Screaming Trees lately. The album Dust is so great. I know I've probably recommended it before, but when you want to clean your house, listen to Dust. And then when you're done, this is really not me, but I love to clean my house to this. Grateful Dead, Dick's Picks, Volume 2.
Okay.
It is great. Put it in the back and relax music. I highly recommend it. You won't think about anything. You hear the phone ring, you'll hear it. You don't overstep. You just vibe to it. It's not my thing, but I love it to clean.
Well,
So
my music pick is going to be whatever my neighbors are playing right now, because I don't know if you can hear it. Probably not. But it's definitely coming through on my end. They sound like they're having a little bit of a rave going on.
I can't hear it, but I'm thinking a little post.
A little spacey.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what we have for Wrestle Magic on this portion of Wrestlemania Hangover. And we're going to go through the rest. So we've done 1 through 5. So I guess next portion we thought we were going to do. Yeah, we were going to do 1 through 21, but I think that we just do 5 at a time. I think that'll be good for everybody. And we're just going to have fun with it.
Episodes to work with too, yeah.
Absolutely.
Wrestle Magic.